There's something strangely comforting about holding on to old things. A book from childhood, a sweater from an ex, a piece of jewelry inherited from a relative. We tell ourselves these objects carry memories, that they hold sentimental value. But what if they hold something else? What if the past they represent isn't just nostalgic, but something heavier, something that lingers in ways we don't fully understand? Many spiritual traditions, from Buddhism to Feng Shui, teach that objects absorb energy. Everything we touch, everything we keep close, takes on a piece of our essence. When we hold on to things that are tied to difficult experiences, heartbreaks, or losses, we may also be holding on to the emotions that came with them. It's why some places feel suffocating, why certain rooms or items bring an unexplainable sadness or unease. It's not just psychological, it's energetic. There's a well-known Buddhist concept called upadana, which translates to attachment or grasping. It's one of the key causes of suffering, according to Buddhist teachings. While we often think of attachment in terms of relationships or desires, it extends to physical possessions as well. The things we hoard, even unknowingly, become extensions of our inner world. When we hold on to objects from painful chapters of our lives, we may also be holding on to that suffering, keeping it alive, allowing it to influence our present without realizing it. Think about the objects in your home right now, that old piece of furniture from a house you left behind, the stack of letters from someone no longer in your life, the clothes you never wear but can't seem to get rid of. Have you ever wondered, why? Why do some objects feel impossible to part with, even when they no longer serve a purpose? It's because they carry emotional weight, and sometimes that weight becomes part of us. Science backs this up in subtle ways. Studies in psychology show that physical clutter contributes to mental clutter. Our brains process every single thing in our environment, whether we realize it or not. Even if you aren't consciously paying attention to a pile of old belongings in the corner of your room, your mind registers it. It takes up mental space, quietly demanding energy. This is why minimalism isn't just about aesthetics, it's about energy. A cluttered space can create a cluttered mind, making it harder to focus, harder to feel at peace. But beyond the mental aspect, there's something deeper happening. In certain belief systems, objects can act as energy anchors. They hold on to vibrations from the past, especially if they were present during emotional events. Have you ever held something and felt a wave of emotion wash over you? Maybe you found an old letter and without even opening it, you felt a tightness in your chest. Or perhaps you touched a piece of jewelry from a lost loved one and immediately felt comforted. That's not imagination, it's resonance. Objects store energy, and the way they make us feel can reveal whether they serve us or hold us back. A powerful example of this comes from the practice of space clearing in Feng Shui. Practitioners believe that homes accumulate energy over time, and certain objects, especially those associated with difficult memories, can stagnate the flow of life force or qi. In some cultures, it's believed that even second-hand furniture or antiques can carry the energies of their previous owners. That's why many traditions encourage cleansing rituals, whether through incense, sound, or simply letting go of items that no longer align with our present selves. This isn't to say that all old objects are bad. Some carry positive energy, reminders of love, joy, or wisdom. A family heirloom passed down through generations may be imbued with warmth and a sense of belonging. A well-worn book that inspired you at a pivotal moment in life can be a source of grounding energy. But how do we distinguish between what nourishes us and what drains us? The answer lies in how we feel when we hold an item. Does it bring a sense of warmth, or does it pull us back into a version of ourselves we've outgrown? When we keep things out of guilt, fear, or nostalgia, we may unknowingly keep ourselves stuck in a past that no longer serves us. The process of releasing these objects is not just about physical decluttering, it's about spiritual liberation. Letting go of what no longer resonates with us is an act of self-care. a way to create space for new energy to enter. But it's not always easy. Sometimes we resist because we fear losing a part of ourselves. We think, if I throw this away, will I forget? But memory doesn't live in objects. It lives in us. True healing comes when we understand that we don't need to cling to the past to honor it. There's a reason why many spiritual practices emphasize the importance of release. In Hindu philosophy, the concept of aparigraha, non-attachment, teaches that by holding on to things, we prevent ourselves from evolving. The same applies to our physical possessions. We think they provide comfort, but often they weigh us down in ways we don't recognize until we finally let them go. Imagine walking through life carrying a heavy bag filled with objects from every stage of your past. A childhood toy, a letter from a lost friend, a souvenir from a relationship that ended long ago. At first, the weight seems manageable, but as time passes, the bag gets heavier. Eventually, it becomes exhausting. You start to wonder why you're so tired, why you feel stuck. The answer isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight within the things we refuse to release. One of the most common reasons people struggle to let go of objects is the fear of losing a part of their identity. We associate things with who we are, our achievements, our relationships, our past selves. But growth requires space. If we want to step into a new version of ourselves, we have to be willing to release the old. This is why in Buddhist traditions, monks often own very few possessions. They understand that clinging to material things creates unnecessary suffering. The more we grasp, the more we fear loss. And the more we fear loss, the harder it becomes to live freely. But what happens when we finally let go? When we take the step to clear out the objects that no longer serve us? Something shifts. There's a lightness, a clarity that wasn't there before. It's as if we've been carrying invisible burdens, and only when they're gone do we realize how much they were holding us back. A woman once shared a powerful story about this. She had been holding on to boxes of old love letters from a past relationship. Even though she had moved on, every time she saw those letters, she felt something heavy settle in her chest. One day, she decided to burn them. As the paper turned to ash, she felt an unexpected sense of relief, like she had finally closed a door she didn't realize was still open. She said it was the first time in years that she felt truly free. Not all releases have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as giving away clothes that no longer feel like you, removing objects from your space that remind you of difficult times, or even cleansing your home with intention. In Japan, there's a practice called osuji, the deep cleaning ritual performed at the end of the year. It's not just about tidying, it's about clearing out stagnant energy, preparing for a fresh start. This ritual acknowledges that our environment reflects our inner world. When we clear our space, we clear our minds. Science supports this idea too. Studies in environmental psychology show that physical clutter contributes to stress and anxiety. When we live in a crowded space filled with things we don't need, our brains are constantly processing that excess information. It's like having dozens of open tabs on a computer, slowing us down, draining our energy. On the other hand, when we simplify, when we remove what no longer serves us, we create space for peace, for focus, for something new. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean erasing the past. It simply means choosing what we carry forward. We can honor our memories without being bound to physical objects. The real treasures are within us. The experiences we've lived, the lessons we've learned, the growth we've undergone. When we start releasing objects tied to the past, something incredible happens. We become more present. It's almost as if, without realizing it, we've been living surrounded by echoes of old emotions, old fears, and old versions of ourselves. And as those objects leave, so does the weight of everything they carried. What remains is clarity, lightness, room to breathe. Think about the objects you own that you rarely use but still keep. Why are they there? Is it nostalgia? Obligation? Guilt? Sometimes we hold on to things because we feel like we should. A gift from someone we no longer speak to. Clothes that no longer fit, but remind us of a different time. Objects passed down from family members, even if they don't bring us joy. But here's something important to remember. Just because something once had a place in your life doesn't mean it belongs in your present. Many ancient cultures believed that objects can hold energy, not just their own, but also the emotions and experiences associated with them. In feng shui, stagnant energy can accumulate around clutter, blocking the flow of new opportunities, health, and even relationships. In Shinto traditions, objects can possess a kami or spirit, and if left unattended for too long, they can take on a restless energy. That's why temples in Japan sometimes hold ceremonies to properly let go of old objects, because the act of release itself is sacred. Letting go doesn't just free up physical space, it frees up mental and emotional space too. Have you ever noticed that when you finally clean out a drawer or a closet, you suddenly feel lighter, more productive? That's not just a coincidence. When we remove unnecessary clutter from our environment, our minds follow. There's a reason why so many spiritual traditions involve some form of purification. Whether it's through fasting, meditation, or physical decluttering, the goal is the same: to strip away the excess to return to what is essential. A woman once shared how after years of struggling with sadness following a major life change, she finally decided to clear out her space. She got rid of things that reminded her of a painful past. A dress she wore during a difficult time, books she never read but kept out of guilt, souvenirs from places she no longer wanted to remember. As she let go of each item, she felt her emotions shift. It was as if she had been unconsciously holding on to the past through those objects. And when they were gone, she realized she had finally made space for healing. This doesn't mean you have to throw everything away. Some objects do carry deep meaning, and keeping them can be a source of comfort. But the key is to be intentional. Ask yourself, does this add to my life, or does it weigh me down? If an object brings you peace, inspiration, or joy, then it has a place. But if it only brings obligation, sadness, or stagnation, maybe it's time to let it go. At the heart of it all, this is about freedom. Freedom from the past, freedom from the unnecessary, freedom to step fully into the present and welcome what's next. Because when we hold on too tightly, our hands are too full to receive anything new. So take a moment, look around your space. What are you holding on to that no longer serves you? What energy do you want to invite into your life? If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who might need to hear it. And most importantly, take a moment today to release something that's been weighing you down. You might be surprised at how much lighter you feel.